Good morning. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. What's going on, everybody? Great morning to be around. Great morning to be alive, right? Still standing, baby. That's what we got it going on this morning, right? Get up, get out, do something. Don't forget your mask. How about that? All right, man, Taste of Soul coming back, eh? They not doing the whole, blocking off the street things, but they are making sure you're getting vaccinated and giving you some PPP and all that kind of stuff. Drive by, I guess you drive through over there at the Sentinel offices. What is that? 3800 Crenshaw Boulevard in the beautiful city of Los Angeles. If you're around, I know they're doing stuff. I was part of Taste of Soul many years. Really great time to, produce a stage and place all kinds of activations on the street and work with all of the officials in the city, all the different departments to pull off that massive community gathering, right? Yeah. Great weekend we just had. Thank you all if you came out to the Long Beach Art Walk. We did it, man. We took over the little art park around the corner from Dream Creator Studio, where we're housed out here in the beautiful city of Long Beach. Had some great music performances, and some great art and some really powerful, just a day of community and unity. So if you came through and shouted us out, we appreciate you so much. Every second Saturday, we'll be doing that with our local community here where Dream Creator Studio is located, home of Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com, home of the Hannibal Media Group, home of Coffee Conversations with Greg J, just a bunch of stuff going on. I guess this coming weekend is Leimert Park Book Festival. It's National Book Month. Remember last week we were talking about all of the commemorations the month of October brings. It's, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we were wondering, NFL, they used to wear pink in October, what happened, and then what else is National Book Month, National Arts and Humanities Month, all kinds of stuff going on in the month of October. And celebrating National Book Month is the Leimert Park Book Festival. Here is to tell us a little bit about it, Wylissa Bennet, publicist du jour. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Making it happen.
You are making it happen. We are very excited this year about our lineup for sure. We're really excited that we could bring the book fair back after the pandemic hiatus that we, had to, suffer in 2020. So this year we decided, well, let's go virtual. Okay. So, and that's what we did. And we have just an amazing lineup of authors, and Nikki Giovanni is our headliner, one of America's greatest poets. So it's just been really, really exciting.
Nikki Giovanni, wow, that's incredible. One of my favorite conversations she has is with James Baldwin when she's expressing to him, how the sisters feel as the brothers come home after dealing all day in the struggle and, maybe taking it out on the sisters or whatever. It was really, it's a immortal conversation.
Exactly. She's an amazing poet. We were just so fortunate to be able to have her. And she's going to be interviewed by Mickey Turner, which is really funny. We have Nikki, and then her person that's doing the Q&A with her is Mickey. And Mickey is an incredible, prolific photojournalist. She's also a professor at USC's Annenberg, the communications school over there. And she's also an author of a couple of books as well. So I think they're friends. And so we really get a really nice, intimate conversation with the two. And it's going to be just really, really exciting for sure. She's one of many crowd pleasers, fan favorites, and best-selling authors for sure.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Now, you say the Leimert Park Book Festival is virtual, and hopefully you can send me or actually put in the chat there, where we can view it virtually and how do we need to do that.
Absolutely. Just go to Leimert Park Book Fair. And it's that simple. Just go there, register. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. And from there, you'll be able to watch the book fair all day. It's an all day thing. So you can watch it in your pajamas, get some snacks, get some friends, get together and watch some of our authors. And let me just talk about some of the authors we have, because I'm waiting for one of the authors to join us who wrote the book on Nipsey Hussle. So
he's in the green room right now.
All right, yeah, he's with my marathon shirt.
What?
Yes. But we are really excited to have Yvonne Orji. Most people know her as the comedian. She's a stand-up comedian, but she's also an actress, and she's known to be Molly on the show Insecure with Issa Rae. So she wrote a book, Bamboozled by Jesus, that really gives a very inspirational and spiritual. She talks about her spiritual journey with God and how God opened up blessings in her life. And if you walk that walk, how God will reveal such blessings to you as well.
Hello.
So yeah, I know. Hold on. I can't take that call. That's so wild. I don't know who's calling me. It's at my front door. But anyway, so it's really, really exciting for sure. As well as we have the National Book Awards finalist, who is Jason Mott, who wrote Hell of a Book. And he's, like I said, he's up for National Book Awards. And we're really, really excited to hear what he says about his book. Of course, joining us will be Rob Kenner, who wrote The Marathon Don't Stop, The Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle, who, wrote about his life. So it's just really, really exciting that we have such wonderful authors. We have crowd favorite, fan favorite, well-known Dominique DePrima. I don't know, Greg, did you know that Dominique DePrima's parents are like these two intellectuals? One is Diane DePrima, who was like one of the major authors in the beat movement. And then her father is Amiri Baraka, who's known as the father of the Black movement. So she is going to read 2 readings from her parents as a tribute to them. So it's very, very exciting for sure.
Yes, I happen to know Dominique DePrima very well. We worked alongside one another for many, many years at KJLH Radio.
Yes. So
and I met her when she was up in the Bay Area before. She was just a little tenderoni just starting out in those days.
Exactly. It's really, she always kids that she's the dumbest one in a family of intellectuals and geniuses. And so I always thought that was funny, but she does an amazing, very touching tribute to her family and to her parents, because they really have a big fingerprint when it comes to pop culture.
That's right.
And doing it for the culture, because their parents really did it for the culture.
That's right. Good stuff. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, okay. So I really am anxious to have the conversation today with your guest that you brought along. When you sent me the information yesterday, I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah. I thought, we have such wonderful authors. We have Victoria Christopher Murray, who is known for, her very spiritual slanted books. And she has a series called The 7 Deadly Sins. And 2 of them were turned into Lifetime movies, Envy and Lust, that were produced by none other than T.D. Jakes. So people can go to Lifetime right now and watch those movies that were adapted from her books, Lust and Envy.
Mm-hmm.
She's exciting. We've been wanting to get her for years, but I thought it was just really exciting that people would come on and get a chance to hear what Rob has to say about Nipsey Hussle and his life, because he's a music journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And, he is one of the editors of Vibe magazine. So he really has, not only as a fan, but as a journalist that covers music, and he can really take viewers and listeners just inside and give an interesting perspective of,
Well, let's just
his
bring him
work.
on in here.
Yeah, bring him
Without
on in.
further ado, here he is, Rob Kidder. Good morning or good afternoon, where you are, baby.
It's morning somewhere, but
Right.
Great to be here with you, Greg J. And hi, Wylissa. It's great to see you.
Hi, it's great seeing you.
Rob, I in my career, I have to say that I had a front seat to the explosion of hip hop when I worked for Lee Bailey as the sales manager, and hip hop was blowing up. I tell a lot of my rapper friends, I'm like, man, I remember Egyptian Lover and all these cats. I mean, I was there, right, when they all came onto the scene, and how hip hop transformed, particularly the black music industry side. So I say all that to say that I have followed you, and you are a Hall of Fame journalist, particularly where it is applies to hip hop. I mean, I'm probably going to put you in the same. If I'm having a coffee conversation, I'm going to say Rob Kidder. I'm going to say Sheena Lester. I'm going to say Nelson George. I'm going to put you. It's like you're one of those guys that really just one of those persons that really just covered the culture, and we thank you for your work in that whole thing. Though I just want to start off by saying, what made you cover Nipsey Hussle?
I was fortunate to meet Nipsey Hussle very early in his trajectory. He came up to the office of Vibe magazine in 2009. I had never heard of this young man, but I found out later, while researching my book, The Marathon Don't Stop, that he had set a goal of getting a page in Vibe magazine. He was an aspiring rapper at the time, and so he came up to play a mixtape called Bullets Ain't Got No Name, and fans of his for a long time certainly remember that project. And I was so impressed with the music, I was just blown away. It was a very hard street music, but kind of refreshing to me, because at that time, hip hop had gone in a different direction. It was kind of more like poppy dance stuff that was running the show at that point. So I enjoyed the music a lot, and I was even more impressed with this young man's demeanor and his presentation and the way he spoke about his goals for his career. And so I listened to the music, and afterwards I just shook his hand and I said, keep doing what you're doing. We're going to be listening. We're going to give you all the support that we can. And, he got his one page in Vibe, and soon after that, Vibe ceased publication, actually. But I continued to pay attention to Nip's career, and in all the different platforms I was working at, I gave him whatever support I could. So, by the time it came to his first major label album, which was 2018 with Victory Lap, I said, we got to get him in here. At this point, I was at Mass Appeal, which is a media company owned by Nas, the great rapper from Queens. And, Nip came in at 9:30 in the morning, which is the earliest any rapper has booked an interview in my entire career. I've never had a 9:30 a.m. start time, but that was the kind of disciplined, focused person he was, and we had this amazing conversation for like an hour, and I said, there's no way we can squeeze this into a 5-minute YouTube video, which was the plan at the time. And so I knew I had to do something more with it. I also feel Nipsey Hussle was underappreciated. He's a very important artist that didn't get his just respect. And so I began to document his career in a very systematic way at that point. And here we are years later, and the book is out. So,
would you call Nipsey? I mean, I don't think I would exactly, but I'd be interested to hear your perspective. Would you call Nipsey a underground artist? Because you know what, until his unfortunate demise, a lot of people in the main had never heard of him.
Yeah, I think you could use the word underground. You could use the word independent. I mean, he was not trying to be obscure or off the radar, but he refused to play by the industry rule book, because I think he was astute enough to see that music industry is not actually doing any favors to new artists. They basically exploit them, and he didn't want to be exploited. He didn't want to be a famous artist that couldn't pay his bills if the record wasn't selling, So I think what he realized was he would like to own his intellectual property and get the maximum benefit for himself and his family and his team. So he started a label called All Money In, No Money Out. And that was exactly the ethos that they lived by. They controlled their economic empowerment and invested in their own businesses and built up their movement without any help from the music industry. And, so by the time he had enough leverage and had demonstrated his ability to succeed and command a big audience, he could demand a better deal from the record labels. And that's what he did.
And that's what he did, and certainly an icon. I know on the streets of South LA, there's murals all over the place. Nipsey Hussle, the marathon continues is a statement that we say in the hood a lot. I mean, he really has made an indelible mark on the culture, particularly in Los Angeles. And so I talk about this because when his death occurred, so many people along Crenshaw Boulevard that were staples in the Crenshaw community were, Brother Greg, have you ever heard of this guy? Who is he? Who is he? I mean, and then just the outpouring, tens of thousands of people coming down to Crenshaw and Slauson to pay homage. I mean, it was a big deal, right? And then the funeral day, same as Biggie and, a few others we can name. We're driving through the streets of South LA. It was massive, man. And really a testament to the impact that he had on his audience. And, that's why I asked the question is, because people, a lot of people weren't knowing.
No, there's no doubt. He was a slept on phenomenon, but I think that didn't bother him that much. He wanted the people that supported him to really support him all the way, and of course he would like more fans, but his focus was on the ones that really got it. He was going to deliver to them and over deliver and make sure that they knew that, he supported people that supported him. So, but the world, as you mentioned, they got a big wake up call. When that Staples Center memorial took place, so many people that I've spoken with in the course of talking about the book have told me the same thing that you said, that they just weren't aware of his career until, wow, here's this sold out memorial at the Staples Center. The only other people that had a memorial are Michael Jackson. And
Michael Jackson. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can't deny that. But I think there were people that were trying to play catch up and say, well, who is this guy? Why is he so important? But people in LA, and especially South LA, they knew.
Yeah, they knew. That's right. Okay, so now in your book, share something that we would be, I don't want to use the word shocked. How about amazed at? What are we going to learn reading your book about Nipsey Hussle?
Well, let's start with the Leimert Park Book Fair, right? So that's going on this Saturday, and Leimert Park was an important location for young Hermes Ascadome, as he was named by his parents. Before he went by the name Nipsey Hussle, he was more of what you would call a conscious rapper. I think he was always conscious in his lyrics, but he was overtly conscious with the Africa medallions and a whole different presentation. And he performed on the Leimert Park Malcolm X Festival, as concept, and made a record actually which found its way to the attention of Afeni Shakur, who of course is a member of the Black Panther Party and also Tupac Shakur's mom. And she heard something in this young man's music that made her invite him to fly down to Atlanta and perform at a Tupac memorial event. It was actually the release of a Tupac tribute album called Better Days, which was released posthumously. So, here's a young concept, as he went at the time, later to be known as Nipsey Hussle, flying with his high school classmate Rallo Styles down to meet Afeni Shakur and perform at a Tupac event years before anybody in the industry knew who he was, years before he would call himself the Tupac of my generation. So, when he said that on the record, Tupac of my generation, there was a lot behind that statement. And I only learned that in the course of researching this book, because I spoke with Rallo Styles, Nip's high school classmate. And there's a lot of voices in the book who have not been heard from before and add a lot of important context to the forces that shape Nip into the great mind that he became. Another name I want to mention while we're talking is Dexter Brown. He has been left out of the story, most of the accounts of Nip's career, and I think he's very important. This was a Black photographer from Trinidad who moved to South LA with his wife and had 3 daughters right there in the heart of the Crenshaw district. And he took Aramis Ascadome in at a point when it's a somewhat complicated story, which we tell in the book, but Nipsey, or Aramis as he was known at the time, was asked to leave school because he was suspected of being behind some computer parts that were going missing from the computer lab in school. And we know that he was a brilliant mind who could build computers from parts. So, they suspected him of being behind those missing parts. And so he left school. His parents didn't agree with him not being in high school. And so he was living at his grandma's house and kind of surviving as best he could. And so Dexter Brown takes him in at that point and gives him access to music equipment and recording studios. And he meets other artists from the neighborhood. Cuzzy Capone, Rallo Styles, his friend, came with him. Young Gooch, who gave him the name Nipsey Hussle. So this all happened right there in Dexter's house. And it was really Dexter Brown that indoctrinated him to this idea of owning his intellectual property and the concept, as he would call it, F the middleman, because they went to a record label. Nipsey had a dream of being a rapper since he was a young man, since he was a kid, really. He loved Criss Cross and Lil Bow Wow. He wanted to be a child rap star, right? But, when he went up to the record label with his demos, Dexter had a connection because he did photography for the record label. So they went in for a meeting, and it was so disappointing to Nip because after he played the music, the guy behind the desk said, well, the music could use some work, but you got a good look, kid. Why don't you get in the gym, build up your muscles and work on some dance moves. And, you might be like a teen heartthrob kind of thing. And Nip's heart sank, I think, at that moment. He just stood up. He said, this meeting's over. Come on, Dexter, let's go. And then from that moment, he knew it was F the middleman. He wasn't going to dumb it down for the record labels. He wanted to do what he wanted to do and express his vision for his music. So that's when he took control of his own destiny.
It's so refreshing to hear you talk about Nipsey Hussle and the heritage of Leimert Park. And when we begin to talk about West Coast hip hop history, we're talking about Project Blowed coming out of the Chaos Network right there on the corner of Leimert and what is that? Leimert and Vernon, almost right there where the People's Park is in Leimert Park. Remember back in the day, this is way before Nipsey Hussle, but certainly you had the Good Life, which is down there in that it's a medical place now across the street from the West Angeles Cathedral. But these are, that general area is so rich of generations of hip hop culture and hip hop history. And so proud that we would talk about, Nipsey Hussle and his beginnings. I was trying to remember what high school did he go to. He didn't go to Crenshaw. He went to Hamilton, I think, high school. Maybe so. Bust across the way there.
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. Hamilton High. Okay. Oh, my grandson graduated from there. I'm going to let him know. You went to the same high school as Nipsey Hussle. Good stuff. Yeah. It's really phenomenal that they would meet, Afeni Shakur and come in that way. Isn't that something how people's roads and their paths cross through diversity, right? And then that ends adversity, and then that ends up in something really beautiful and big to the community.
That's right. Yeah, mm-hmm. It's like you couldn't make it up. It's almost like a story in a myth or something. Mm-hmm. For him to connect with the mother of this, revolutionary artist who had lost his life, and then Nip, in many ways, took up the torch, and as he says on the album Victory Lap, I'm the Tupac of my generation.
Mm-hmm. That's a powerful statement right there, my brother. Wow. Okay. So Nipsey Hussle. Then you mentioned that you were at Mass Appeal with Nas, and I need to comment on this, even though it's not. We're not really talking about him, but I was really trying to just saw a special of everybody say hello to Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda. How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
I just saw a special on Nas where he was performing with the Kennedy Center Orchestra, the symphony. Yes. Really phenomenal. Talk about Mr. Hip Hop journalist. Talk about the mashup between hip hop and classical Greg, symphony.
I told you, Greg, Rob is amazing. He can give us all the little pearls and really take us in with a wonderful perspective. I told you. Well, go ahead, Rob.
That's right.
Thank you for that question and for the opportunity to speak to your audience today. When Nas did that collaboration at the Kennedy Center, that was a huge honor for hip hop, not just for Nas. To take an album that everybody considers a classic and set it to classical music is, a statement to all the folks that said, rap is just a fad. It's not really music. It's never going to last. All those things were said about this art form. And, of course, that's nonsense. But, Nas wrote a body of work that is now taught in universities today. That those verses are poetry, and the beats provided by producers like DJ Premier and Pete Rock and Large Professor. The list goes on. There's an amazing music sound bed, and the symphony orchestra captured it beautifully. It's really amazing. If you get a chance to watch the video of it, Nas is there in a tuxedo rapping his lines. And, when that took place, I had a chance to speak with all of the producers who made the original beats and get their opinion. Did the symphony do you justice? And they, each and every one of them, was honored and proud to see their art, presented on the largest honor in America. This is the Washington, D.C. symphonic stage. It's a big deal for hip hop. So, that's big. And I think someone like Nipsey Hussle would have appreciated that moment too. He understood that hip hop was kind of an underdog culture and, was never really esteemed and lifted up by so-called highbrow culture. And, he loved Nas, he loved Jay and Biggie and, all the greats of, as well as Snoop and, all the great artists of this art form. And, Nipsey deserves to be mentioned alongside of those names. And
yeah, absolutely. We're just sitting here thinking, we're talking about all of these iconic hip hop artists against the backdrop of Nipsey Hussle with your wonderful book coming up. We'll be meeting you on the Leimert Park Book Fair coming up virtually soon.
It's 1:00 this Saturday, right? Is that the?
Yes,
that's
that's what the website says. That's what I've been told. Is that we're in the
that's the rumor.
That's the rumor. It's really interesting. Normally, we always have the book fair on site at Baldwin Hills Mall. It started, of course, in Leimert Park, and then it moved to the Baldwin Hills Mall. And because of the hiatus that we had last year, we wanted to bring the book fair back. We didn't want it to be lost because of the pandemic, and because this is a time where people are having a lot of time to read. So we wanted to bring it back virtually. We did a lot of the recordings in advance. It was a big production.
Yeah.
So it's in the middle of being edited as we speak.
Wow.
So it's really exciting. Also, Greg, I'm going to be doing a pre-show on Facebook Live. So if people join in like around 9:30 on the Leimert Park Book Fair Facebook, I'm going to have the Women's African Drum Circle come out and do some drumming, a performance. We're going to have a couple of poets. I'm going to be encouraging people to register. So we got a little pre-show before the show. So I want people to come on out and join us. Register for the book fair, but tune in at 9:30 and we'll get started with the beat of the drum of the African Women's Drum Circle.
I really love that you're doing this. Here at Dream Creator Studio, we've pivoted and produced quite a few, festivals in the virtual space. And as we are, it's a new paradigm, folks. This whole live stream thing that we're doing now, broadcasting and communicating amongst each other is fundamentally different. It's not going anywhere. We might be getting we try to move to this post-COVID, but I think this is going to be here to stay, these virtual events. And I'd love for you all to support the Leimert Park Book Fair. Don't be afraid of the technology. It's here.
It's here. And we have to embrace it because it's helping us to connect to each other, even from people far, far away. Because Rob's in New York.
Right. See, that's the thing. It's like you bring so many people together, no matter where we are. Even here on Coffee Conversations with Greg J, we've had people from Johannesburg. We've had them from Nairobi. We've had them from Dakar, Senegal, Ghana, just the whole New York, Atlanta, just the whole thing brings us all together, and we're able to build culture in this way.
Absolutely. And of course, the key is the time zone.
Yes. That's good.
That's the key to the Zoom. Right. The time zone. Are we talking the right time zone? We got to get everybody's time zone together so we can be in that one place at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The time zone wizard didn't tell us today.
That's right. Rob, let me ask you, we oftentimes here as we live stream, we talk about icons, right? Cultural icons, music icons and everything. And recently we've been talking about the record store experience, right? Mm-hmm. And so VIP Records out here in Long Beach, where we originate from, is the icon, Snoop Dogg and all that, Warren G, Nate Dogg. I mean, just on and on and on from this immediate area when one begins to talk about, hip hop culture from a West Coast perspective. And VIP Record Store has been central to that whole thing. I would like to ask you this question. So we're very proud of Snoop here in the Long Beach area. I remember when the album came out. Do you recall this? The very first one, how much controversy it was under. Remember that?
Of course I do. We did that cover on Vibe in '93. Kevin Powell wrote the cover story and I edited it. And that photo shoot, I believe they ended up using the Vibe photo shoot in the CD booklet for the Death Row, debut album of Doggy Style, because, people weren't doing these, glamorous photo shoots for rap stars yet. This was early in hip hop media. So of course I remember Snoop's roll out like it was yesterday.
So, all right. So such controversy and everything. And now Snoop Dogg is essentially transcended hip hop. He's like just this American pop culture. Right.
He's a pitch man. I see him on TV. If he's not with Martha Stewart, he's pitching this and that and everything.
Yes. So, Rob, how does that happen, Rob?
Well, I think it happens through a lot of things. It happens, number one, because Snoop Dogg is an exceptional individual, and he has that charisma, he has that personality, and also the vision to elevate his focus from whatever he was doing before he started making music to the things that he's able to do today, and to feed his family and employ his friends, and put on a lot of people. He's got the football team that he's coaching, and has a whole league, right, of football teams around Los Angeles. So, Snoop is a monumental figure in a lot of ways. He was a mentor to Nipsey Hussle early on. He recognized the talent of this young aspiring artist and never tried to sign him, never tried to, get money from him, but, encouraged him to do what he was doing. And they stood on their own feet. So, I respect Snoop tremendously. But the other reason that's possible is people like Quincy Jones having the vision to start Vibe magazine. When Vibe launched in 1992, people thought that it was a far-fetched notion for Time Inc. to put a national glossy magazine out with rappers on the cover. There were people who were actually working on Vibe in the early days, because I was part of the startup team. I was honored to be part of Quincy's, team that made that vision a reality. And, there were people who were actually helping us put that magazine together that thought it was a crazy idea, that, were part of the Time Inc. traditional system, and they were good at, maybe proofreading or whatever they did, but they were like, who's going to read these long articles about rappers? I remember specifically one copy, I was like, rap fans don't read 5,000 word profiles. And of course, now we know that these are just, limited mindsets that, America has kind of brainwashed people over the years to think certain ways. But, Quincy Jones had the boldness and the juice to break through those old antiquated visions of what hip hop was and could be. And, we did the first profile of Puff Daddy. Puffy was an A&R at Uptown Records when we profiled him. And, we did a photo shoot with him. I remember he was wearing Calvin Klein briefs. You could see, peeking up over his jeans. And I have a feeling when he looked at those pages of the magazine after he saw his shoot, he's like, why am I giving Calvin Klein this shine when I could have my own briefs? And, pretty soon it was Sean John briefs on there. So, this is how it all begins. It's a domino effect. And, it's true what you say, though. I've been walking around New York City. Snoop is on like 4 different ad campaigns around the walls.
Right? Crazy. He has the one where he's on the beer. Yeah, it's amazing.
He's got Snoop is collecting all bags right now. Just let that be known.
But Greg, I have a question for Rob, because they always said that music is the soundtrack of people's lives. Just as a music journalist, you talk about certain things that stick out like as if it was yesterday. Can you talk about how you've been chronicling music and how that's impacted your life as it being the soundtrack of your life?
Wow, that's a great question. It's definitely true that you hear a certain record and it transports you to a place in time. Whenever I hear Drop It Like It's Hot,
right,
I think of the Vibe Awards when Snoop single-handedly saved the Vibe Awards, when it was, there was a little chaotic scene that had taken place, and Quincy and Dr. Dre were on stage caught in a tough situation, and Snoop restored order to the room. And then after he got us all back on track and we continue with the award show, he actually performed Drop It Like It's Hot. And, so I'll always remember that. And music is like that. It like prints itself on your memory.
Are you talking about the time we got up there and said, what, y'all, they got no love for the West Coast?
No, that was another time. That was the Source Awards. So that was the thing. Yeah, that was an unfortunate incident at the Source Awards when he came to New York, and the crowd didn't show as much appreciation as they could have, because, there was like a hometown favorite that didn't win, or, there was a little tension back then between the cities. But I'm talking about when we were in Los Angeles taping the Vibe Awards.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And Quincy and Dr. Dre were standing on stage to present Well, actually, it was Snoop and Quincy standing on stage, calling Dr. Dre up to the stage to receive a Vibe Legend Award to honor Dr. Dre's accomplishments. And a little ruckus kicked off. I think, somebody was sent to disrupt the proceedings. And, it was a tense moment there for a while, but it was because of Snoop's courage and fortitude. This was never broadcast, by the way. I was in the room, so I'm telling you what happened when the cameras were turned off.
Yeah.
Snoop restored order. He said, "You guys don't act like this at Dick Clark's American Music Awards. So don't disrupt Quincy's house. We're going to respect this, and we're going to set the table back upright, and we're going to smooth out our suits, and we're going to shoot that again, and we're going to finish this." And, there were big artists that were scared and ran out of the building and never, got in their car and left, because you don't know what's going to happen when a ruckus kicks up like that. But, I respect Snoop a lot for having the courage to, in his city, Snoop's word carries a lot of weight. Order,
Yeah. Wow, Rob, you said 1993. I'm feeling some kind of way. I remember when you all first started, Keith Clink Scales and all those guys there at Vibe magazine. Wow, my goodness, time is flying.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's coming up on how many years, how many decades has it been? I don't try to count too often, but we put in a lot of work over the years. And this book, I will say, The Marathon Don't Stop. As I mentioned, I met Nip at the end of the Vibe run, 2009. And, to me, it's the most challenging and important project I've ever worked on, with all the things that I've touched over time. I think Nipsey represents the ultimate fulfillment of hip hop's true purpose, to empower and uplift an artist and his family and his community. And Nip lived that purpose more than any other artist that I can ever think of in this whole run that I've been a part of.
Yeah, that's a true statement. When you take a step back and really examine, behind the music. Well, yeah, the lyricism and all of that, powerful, right? No doubt. But when you look at behind the story behind the music is really, really, really impactful. And I applaud you for documenting this, and just being a witness and a chronicler of what's going on in music history. Let me ask you this, as one who's been, had your eyes and documented hip hop history from the gate. You're looking at the new artist and everything, is hip hop where you thought it would be? What's your assessment of the hip hop industry right now?
I think that all of us believed in this great art form from day one, but I would be lying if I told you that I could foresee Kendrick Lamar winning a Pulitzer Prize, or the president of the United States having rap records on his playlist. And we've had a tremendous transformation of pop culture because of this art form. Biggie did a record where he said, "You never thought that hip hop would take it this far." And I think he said a true statement, and that was 1995, 94, 95. So, there's been a tremendous growth, and it continues to, defy everyone's limitations that they try to put on this art form. And, it's really about tapping the unlimited potential of people. It's about, the folks that get counted out and pushed to the side and marginalized. This hip hop is an engine to uplift them and plug into their true potential. And so that, if you look at it that way, the sky's the limit. There's no limits on this thing. And I'm honored to have been a part of a big chunk of the story. And, I'm still waking up every morning to see what is going to happen next. There's a lot of exciting artists, even artists that were part of Nip's movement who are still putting out great music in Los Angeles. If you're not listening to people like Jay Stone, Cuzzy Capone, Pac-Man, Killer Twan, Cobby Supreme, BH, there's a whole wave of artists that, folks who are fans of Nip Hussle should really tap in and familiarize themselves with, because he's got a lot of proteges out here still doing it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Wylissa.
You know, Greg, what I find interesting is all the music documentaries that are coming out because, like you, Rob, I mean, aware of music, not as knowledgeable as you. So, when you watch movies like there's a Wu-Tang docuseries that's out now. I was just looking at the piece on the daughter of what's his name that died of AIDS. The Easy.
Oh,
Easy.
Easy. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like his daughter had docuseries of trying to find about the death of her father. And I find, in watching these documentaries and they tell the story, I find that hip hop is all intertwined. It doesn't even matter if you rapped on the East Coast, if you rapped on the West Coast, if you're from the dirty South. It's like it seems like all these stories and everybody is like intertwined within each other. And that's what I found that was very interesting, and the interest of people's background and how they came to music and how they were able to move and evolve. I mean, I find it just very, very interesting. The not just the music, but when we can see the drama aspect of people building their business or going for their dream and how many people it impacted, It's just very, very fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. And it's funny for me, just being an OG in all of this. I was an executive when hip hop started blowing up. We were part of the team that created the first nationally syndicated hip hop radio show at Bailey Broadcasting with Lee Bailey, Radio Scope. Then we had our hip hop countdown and report hosted by the poetess, who's now a media mogul in the Crenshaw area, right? Shout out to Felicia.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, Greg, I was in North Carolina because that's where I'm from. And every Saturday I would hear Lee's voice, radio scope, blah, blah, blah. So when I moved out here 20 years ago and I met Lee, I was like, oh my God. Right. I was so excited. Yeah. So it's just fascinating how the prongs of these stories and hip hop stretches, because like everybody remembers where they were when they heard Sugar Gang. Yep. Everybody, me, I was skating, hip hop, hippity, hip hop, and don't stop the rock to the bang bang boogie. I mean, everybody remembers where they were when that first rap record dropped.
I was in the Marine Corps working on fighter jets and have my radio on, and that song came on, and I was late to my station. I got in so much trouble because I was like, "What?"
Wow. Exactly.
Yes, yeah. Wow, incredible. All right, Rob, I just reunited with Dave Mays from the Source magazine through the magic of social media. And I'll tell you my story. I mentioned that I had a front row seat to hip hop when I found the Source when they were a newsletter. They were kids in Harvard University.
Yes, they were. Yep.
And it was a little newsletter, and so they heard about the hip hop countdown, and they sent it to me, and I was like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. Never in my wildest imaginations would I have known that it would blow up to be the Source magazine. And then Vibe came, and then I think your man Larry Flint had rap pages. Remember
that? And actually, my conversation for Leimert Park Book Fair, bringing it back to that, is with Sheena Lester.
Yes, sir.
Was one of the editors in chief during the run of Rap Pages, and she went on to be the editor in chief also of XXL and was my colleague at Vibe magazine. So Sheena is a very distinguished journalist. You shouted her out earlier. And the two of us have a great combo coming up on Saturday at 1:00.
Wow, that's incredible right there. She's the best. I love her so much, and just knowledgeable, about the culture and everything. All of those publications were essential, right, to the growth of the culture, and explaining to a lot of us, okay, with hip hop, right? we might have been a little too old, but we had to understand it. So we got that Vibe magazine, and that's what's up. All right, let me ask you this question here. Now that you've written the book is out, you're coming to the conversations and everything. You have an insight to the legacy of Nipsey Hussle. How's the marathon going? What's the family doing? What is it? Right? Yes.
Yes.
What's up with the Nipsey Hussle legacy?
Well, I was just on another broadcast earlier this morning, with Dominique DePrima, and she informed me of something I had not yet heard, but there's a new marathon store opening on Melrose. So I think that is the next episode. I had heard there were plans to do that, but that's official. That's coming. And the family is also working on a documentary, which I know is in the works. I'm sure that'll be fascinating when it comes out. And then, there are plans to turn the original marathon store on Crenshaw and Slauson into a sort of museum, to honor Nip's legacy. And I believe they're also going to put a tower above where the store used to be, with apartments that people can afford, as well as being nice apartments that they're not going to be crazy gentrified, rates of rent. So, there's a lot of work being done. Also, David Gross, who was, instrumental in Nip and his brother Black Sam purchasing that strip mall. He's a financier who was born in South LA and went to New York and made his fortune on Wall Street, but then came back to his original community. He has started a fund which folks definitely should look up. It's called Own Our Own, and this is a crowdsourcing opportunity. So even if you have a relatively small investment, nest egg that you want to invest in a group effort to invest and own part of South Los Angeles and, create economic empowerment and generational wealth, Own Our Own is a great movement to learn about. And, so there's all kinds of people inspired by Nip Hussle. And then you have, book clubs that are, reading, positive literature in his name. And you have, people that have started all kinds of initiatives inspired by his example. It's been really humbling since we rolled this book out in March of this year. And, the book hit the New York Times bestseller list in April. And, I interact with so many people who have picked up a copy on social media, and I hear their stories in my direct messages, and I repost everybody that posts a copy of the book. And there's so many people who have started businesses inspired by him. There's so many, athletes who are inspired by him and community organizers. His legacy is never going to end. And, I'm just humbly making my contribution to making sure that the word is spread. People who didn't understand why he was so important can pick up this book and get a better understanding of, who this young man was and why, the whole Staples Center was standing up and applauding for him. And, his name will continue to ring out for many years to come, I believe. You're going to see his face on murals from Africa to, all around America and Europe. I was just interviewed by a radio DJ in England who brought him to do his first show in London back in 2015. So Nipsey Hussle's movement is worldwide. And also this book is now being taught in universities. Howard University has added it to the reading list, and a number of other institutions have honored me with that. And it's very humbling for me as a journalist. My goal was just, would this book be worthy of inclusion on one of Nip's personal reading lists? He was a big bookworm. He was always making lists of books and sharing them with his loved ones, and that was my goal through those long nights and finishing the manuscript was, I want this to be good enough that Nipsey would recommend it, even if it wasn't about him, just that there was enough knowledge in there about the history of Los Angeles, the history of America, why all of these forces came together to create this remarkable individual. So, I'm thrilled to be talking to you today, and for the Leimert Park Book Fair to include this book in the program. It's such an amazing program this year, and I'm beyond thrilled that Nip's legacy will be a part of the proceedings on Saturday.
Look, go ahead.
I was just going to jump in. I wanted to let Rob know that your people hit me up back in March about your book and wanting to do something. And we were just waiting on the drop date of when we were going to do the book fair. So you have been on my radar. Your book has been on my radio since March. And we're just really excited that you could join us. We are just tickled pink, thrilled.
I mean, it's exceptional, man. Y'all got Rob Kidder on the Leimert Park Book Fair. What? That's good stuff. Is Cynthia still involved with this book fair?
Yes, she is. She's the executive producer. She's a quiet person behind the scenes. She's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. She's behind the curtain doing, her shenanigans to make this all happen. But we're excited to be out in front and talk about the book fair. And, like I said, we have an amazing lineup. I mean, we started with Nikki Giovanni, and we said, okay, if we don't have anybody but Nikki Giovanni to celebrate October as National Book Month, we're doing okay.
Right. Yes, you are.
Yes, and then we were able to get Rob, and then Yvonne Orgy, as I said, Victoria Christopher Murray, and then Jason Mott, a finalist for the National Book Awards with hell of a book. Just so excited. We have children's author Don Tate, who is a very acclaimed, children's book author and illustrator. He's going to be showing kids how he, illustrates on his computer when he's doing, working on a project. So, we have Chutney Ross, who is handling and hosting the whole children's hour. Chutney Ross. Did you hear that last name? Ross.
That's
yes.
Right.
She is related to Miss Ross.
Wow.
So we're excited that she's a part of it. And then we are doing this international initiative called Book Fairies, where books are going to be hidden in the area and from book fairies, who are volunteers that just place books in a community, and people are able to pick up books and where did this come from? And go on about their way and enjoy the love of reading. All for October National Book Month.
National Book Month, y'all. That's what's up. Lita Cole Dennis brings up an interesting point, something I did want to ask. Where are we able to purchase books? And I just want to share briefly as we prepare to leave you all today, is just want to talk about, the availability of books and, do you see bookstores still surviving? Yeah. What's the essence of the book experience?
Well, for us, people will be able to purchase books the day of the book fair. We'll have a virtual bookstore. So if you like an author, you can just click on that link and it'll take you right to the bookstore and you can buy that book. It's easy as a click, and we know how to click to buy things. So isn't that what we did during the whole pandemic?
Right. Okay. So, Rob, what are you going to say?
I wanted to shout out Malik Books, which is one of the LA-based, independent booksellers who has been a big supporter of this, the Marathon Don't Stop. And he actually blew my mind because he does a check-in, I guess, fairly often with, what's that guy's name? Ryan Seacrest, So he goes on the Ryan Seacrest show and says what books he recommends. And he did a whole thing about Nipsey Hussle with Ryan Seacrest. I was like, is this really happening? But yeah, Malik Books has really cool. Spread the word. And I've seen on social, we've interacted that, a lot of folks are going to his bookstore and picking up their copy of the Marathon.
Absolutely. Yes, they are a partner with the Leimert Park Book Fair, as well as Skylight Books. They have been a partner with us as well. So we're excited to partner with all our, community, bookstores for sure.
This is really, really important stuff that you're doing, both in making this festival happen, Wylissa, Cynthia, all of y'all. I've been knowing you since the beginning. Cynthia, you need to
Yes,
call your brother up. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I'll tell her. I'll tell her for sure.
And then Rob, it just really is a deep honor to have you here, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. I mean, I've been following you since you was a little scrub there.
Listen, Greg, don't suit me up, man. Don't suit me up. I'm just trying to do my work, and I appreciate that you've been listening and reading, and we got a lot more to come. So
right.
You mentioned also before I go, because I do have to bounce to another interview. But I wanted to mention you, Wylissa. You said you like music documentaries.
Yes, I've been enjoying them.
Have you guys seen Quest TV? This is Quincy Jones's music video platform. So you can go online and check it out. It's only music videos, performance, and docs that are curated by Quincy Jones and his team. So it's quality stuff. They got jazz, they got R&B, they got hip hop, they got reggae. And there's a movie I wanted to direct your attention to. If you've been following my work, Greg, I love reggae music as well as hip hop. They're kind of connected in a lot of ways. Right. And so there's a film on Quest.tv called Studio 17, The Lost Reggae Tapes. And it is an amazing dive into the birth of Jamaican music. People like Lee Scratch Perry, rest in peace, and a lot of other greats, Jimmy Cliff, are all interviewed in this film, and it really shows where this music is coming from and why it's so powerful. So if you want a little 90-minute trip to Jamaica virtually, you could check out that film on Quest TV.
All right. There we have it. Rob Kenner, renowned hip-hop journalist, author. The Marathon Don't Stop. That's the book. It'll be featured at the Leimert Park Book Fair. That's this Saturday. Go to LeimertParkBookFair.com. That address is all in the chat.
Register. They have
and
to
you
register.
Can register. Got to register. Register ahead of time, and that's what's up.
But don't forget the pre-show at 9:30. 9:30 with the African drummers. We're gonna start off with the beat of the African drummers to get everybody pumped up and ready.
That's what's up. Wylissa Bennet, publicist du jour. Yes. Very good. Thank you so much for coming, sipping coffee with Greg J here. That's a beautiful thing, you all. Thank you. Make it a peaceful day, you guys.
Thank you.
If you guys have missed this broadcast, you can certainly get it live or on demand, I should say, across our social media platforms. What is that? Beach City Radio, Kalimba Song, Coffee Company, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. You know where it is. It's everywhere, right? BeachCityRadio.com is where you get it on demand. And then we repurpose the audio and put that on podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast platforms. Stream, what am I trying to say? Apple, Google, Stitcher, iHeart, just name it. Wherever your podcasts are, this is where it is. This is Greg J. reminding you always, please love one another. Peace and blessings.